The sky above Titan burned red. Massive explosions lit the blackness of space as thousands of alien warships closed in on the human fleet. The Vare Dominion's ships were like jagged knives, their black holes reflecting the fire of destroyed vessels. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Arya Holt stood at the center platform, hands gripping the metal railing. Her crew moved quickly around her, voices tight with tension. The air smelled faintly of ozone from overworked systems. Every console glowed with targeting data, missile paths, and life support warnings. Humanity had been fighting the Vare for 80 long years, and the galaxy feared humans not because they were the strongest or fastest, but because they never stopped fighting. Even when outnumbered, even when outgunned, humans always found a way to turn battles into blood-soaked victories. And now, the end was here. Through the wide viewing glass, Titan's orange clouds boiled below, flashes of weapon fire reflecting. In the methane storms, the Resolute was one of the last carriers in the fleet, surrounded by hundreds of smaller human ships. On the far side of the system, the Vare Armada was closing in like a dark tide. "Missiles ready, Captain, Commander," Rourke said, his voice low but steady. "All ships report weapons armed," Ensign Vale added, his hands shaking slightly as he checked his screen. Arya's jaw tightened. "Hold fire until my mark." The crew obeyed, but everyone knew what was coming. The Vare had cornered humanity. Here, this would be the deciding battle, the fight that would determine if Earth itself would burn. For centuries, human history had been defined by war. From their earliest empires to their spread into the stars, humans fought over territory, ideology, and survival. Other alien races called them the Relentless. The Vare called them the Butchers of Orion. The Resolute's channel crackled. To life, fleet command, to all ships. Incoming priority transmission from Earth. The voice was calm. Arya exchanged a quick glance with Rourke before nodding. Patch it through. The main display flickered, replacing tactical data with the seal of the Terran High Council. An older man appeared, dressed in the formal black of government command. His voice was deep, almost sorrowful. "This is Earth Command, all human. Vessels cease fire. Do not engage the enemy. This order is final." The bridge went silent. Only the hum of engines and the faint hiss of ventilation could be heard. Arya felt the air leave her lungs. "Repeat that," she said. "Cease fire. Do not engage. Stand down all weapons." Murmurs broke out across the bridge. Vale looked. Confused? They're ordering surrender? Rourke slammed a hand against the console. "With all due respect, that's suicide." The crew waited for Arya to countermand the order, but she didn't. Something about the way Earth Command had spoken. It wasn't fear, it wasn't panic, it was certainty. Outside, the Vare warships slowed their advance, sensing something strange. Their fleet commander sent out a transmission on open channels. The voice harsh and metallic. "Humans, surrender your ships and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with annihilation." Arya expected a reply from Earth Command, but none came. Instead, another message appeared on her private console. It was encrypted at the highest level. Only she could see it. "Stand by. Execute Omega Protocol? Do not resist." Her heartbeat quickened. Omega Protocol. She had only heard of it once. A theoretical emergency plan so secret that most officers didn't believe it was real. According to rumors, it wasn't about winning battles. It was about ending them forever. "All ships holding position," Vale reported, confusion still heavy in his voice. "The Vare are waiting." The Resolute floated silently above Titan. The thousands of human ships around it stopped firing. Their engines glowed faintly, holding them steady in space. The Vare ships hung back, suspicious but ready to strike. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, without warning, every human vessel lit up in a blinding white glow. It wasn't weapons fire, wasn't an explosion. It was something else, Captain, Vale shouted, shielding his eyes. Energy surge in all ships, levels off the charts. A deep vibration ran through the Resolute, rattling every bolt and plate. The view outside blurred, as if the stars themselves were being pulled away. "What's happening?" Rourke demanded. Arya stared at the lights surrounding the fleet. "We're leaving." The glow intensified until the bridge was flooded with pure white. For an instant, Arya thought she saw the space around them fold, twist, and vanish. Then they were gone. The human fleet simply disappeared. Heartbeat, they had been there, surrounded by enemies.
I'll leave the next.
The void above Titan was empty. No wreckage. No signal. Nothing. On the Vare flagship, the alien commander stood frozen, his black eyes wide. "Find them," he hissed to his crew. "Scan every sector. They could not have vanished." But they had. Somewhere far beyond the reach of the Vare Dominion, the human fleet reappeared in a place no alien had ever seen. A place that did not exist on any star map. On the bridge of the Resolute, Arya exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. Around her, the crew looked stunned, alive, but shaken. Rourke turned to her, voice low. "Captain, what just happened? Where are we?" Arya looked at the strange, dark star outside the window. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. She didn't answer right away. Because the truth was, even she didn't know exactly where they were. But she knew one thing. Humanity hadn't surrendered. They had vanished. For a reason, the Vare Dominion had fought humans. For almost a century, they had seen the species fight in every kind of battle, from the icy trenches of Europa to the burning skies of Alpha Centauri. But what they saw now over Titan made even their hardened warlords pause. The human fleet was gone. One moment, thousands of ships had been in perfect formation, engines burning bright against the red clouds. The next, they were gone in a white-blue flash, leaving only silence and drifting debris from alien ships they had already destroyed. On the flagship, Jathar's Fang, High Commander Varath watched the empty radar screens in disbelief. Where are they?" One of his lieutenants stammered. "They did not warp. They did not cloak," Vareth growled, his black eyes narrowing. "They disappeared. Across the galaxy, news spread like fire. Entire human armies, stationed in hundreds of war zones, had also vanished at the same moment. From asteroid bases, 2 deep space carriers, every soldier, every ship, every weapon, gone. On the neutral trading world of Meriden Prime, alien merchants gathered around holoscreens. "Humans don't run," one merchant said, shaking his head. "They fight until there's nothing left." "Maybe they finally broke," another replied. But a hooded figure in the corner whispered, "No, they didn't break. They chose this." Meanwhile, far from Titan, deep in a hidden sector of space, the human fleet reappeared. Thousands of ships floated silently in formation, their engines cold. Inside the Resolute, Captain Arya Holt stood in the command chamber with Admiral Roan Vale, the highest-ranking officer in the Human Defense Command. His voice was steady, but his eyes carried the weight of the decision. "It's over, Captain," Vale said. "The war ends today, not because they won, but because we refuse to play their game any longer." "But Sir," Arya began, "we've fought. For decades, we've lost billions. And now, when we have the upper hand, we just walk away?" Vale stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You think the Vare fear our guns?" "No, they fear something far greater, the one thing they can't match." Arya frowned. "What's that?" Vale's gaze hardened. "What we've been building?" "While they were watching our battles, a place where no alien fleet can follow, a sanctuary outside their reach." Before Arya could ask more, the chamber's walls shimmered, and a vast star map unfolded in the air. It showed a sector of space completely unknown, blank on every alien chart. In its center glowed a single star. Around it, countless human-built stations and artificial worlds glittered like jewels. "This," Vale said, "is Haven." Arya stared. "We've already built it. Piece by piece," Vale said. "Ah!" Over the last 50 years, every mining operation they thought was for war material, every cargo ship they thought carried weapons, all of it was for this. A home where no alien can dictate our future. The Admiral's tone darkened. "The Vare think they've seen the last of us. They haven't. One day, when the time is right, we'll return not to fight their war, but to end the game entirely. Outside the Resolute, the fleet began its slow journey toward the hidden star. Thousands of human lives, billions of dreams, all moving toward a secret destiny. Back over Titan, Vareth still stared at the empty sky. His lieutenants waited for orders, but he gave none. Deep inside, a seed of unease had been planted, because the Vare Dominion had won many battles against many enemies, but no enemy had ever vanished willingly. Somewhere in the cold between stars, humanity was watching. The Vare Dominion expected chaos after the Battle of Titan. Their war fleets patrolled the solar system, scanning for any sign of human resistance. But days turned into weeks, and there was nothing. No ships, no transmissions, no life readings from Earth or any human colony. It was as if humanity had been erased overnight. Across the galaxy, confusion spread. Other alien empires sent scouts to former human worlds. They found empty cities, streets frozen in time, meals left on tables, ships still docked, but no humans anywhere. The silence was worse than destruction. On Vare Prime, Supreme Warlord Karvak addressed his council. They must have fled. To another system, he growled. No species can disappear without trace. But even the Vare's most advanced scanners found no warp signatures, no evidence of evacuation. Whispers spread among alien diplomats. Some said humans had been destroyed by their own weapons. Others believed they had moved to a hidden galaxy beyond known space. And a few whispered something stranger, that humans had found a way to step out of the galaxy itself. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council began to feel the consequences. Human trade routes were gone. Mining colonies lay abandoned. Worlds once protected by human fleets were now vulnerable to pirates. Perhaps most dangerous of all, the galaxy's balance of power had shifted. Without humans, old rivalries reignited. The Dravik Syndicate began expanding into Vare space. Raided border planets, entire sectors fell into chaos. On a small outpost in neutral territory, an alien historian named Velen Rock studied the mystery obsessively. He had spent decades documenting human wars, victories, and culture. Now, he sat alone in his archive chamber, scrolling through images of human soldiers, artists, and scientists. They wouldn't leave without a reason, he murmured. One night, Velen received a strange, encrypted transmission. The message was only 5 words, in perfect human English. We are not your past. The signal came from deep intergalactic space, a region with no recorded star systems. Was impossible. No known ship could travel that far, yet the coordinates were precise. Velen knew he had to follow it, gathered a small crew, and set course for the void. As they left the edge of the mapped galaxy, sensors picked up faint anomalies, ripples in space, like echoes of something massive moving between dimensions. The crew grew nervous. "Are you sure humans are out here?" asked his pilot. A reptilian named Thraken. Velen didn't answer. Eyes were fixed on the growing distortion ahead. It wasn't just a planet or a station, it was something larger. Much larger. A shimmering wall of light stretched across the darkness, its surface flowing like liquid glass. Energy readings spiked. The ship's systems flickered. Then, from within the light, shadows began to move. Silhouettes. Humanoid. Watching the crew froze. And then, a voice came through the comes calm, measured, human, turned back. The galaxy is not ready for what we have become. Before Velen could speak, the wall of light pulsed and the ship was thrown back into normal space, far from the coordinates. Every recording device had been wiped clean. Only the crew's memories remained. When they returned to known space, no one believed them. The official report called it spatial hallucination. But Velen knew what he had seen. Humans were out there. They hadn't been defeated, they had evolved, and someday they might come back. But not as the galaxy remembered them. The gathering stormed the city of Illyria, Earth's new capital, shimmered under a pale golden sun. Sky gardens floated between towers, and streets buzzed with markets selling art, spices, and music from 100 worlds. It was a place of peace, A city built to show the galaxy that war was no longer humanity's language. But beneath its beauty, something else was moving. Captain Arya Holt walked quickly down the marble steps of the council hall. She was no longer in uniform. The black and silver of the fleet had been replaced by the plain white robe of a peacekeeper. Still, her stride carried the weight of a soldier. She could feel eyes on her. Every time she left a meeting, shadows seemed to follow. Her communicator pinged. "Arya," a low voice said. It was Admiral Cato, one of the few surviving leaders of the old fleet. "We need to meet. Now." They met in the old spaceport, deep under Illyria's surface. The room smelled faintly of rust and oil. "You shouldn't be here," Arya said, scanning the corners. The council banned all gatherings of former war officers. "That's exactly why I am here," Cato replied. He slid a small projector across the table. It flickered, showing a map of space. The outer sectors, once battlefields, now supposedly empty. But strange signals pulsed in the darkness. "They're not empty," Cato said. "The Veer are moving again, slow, quiet, but toward us." Arya's jaw tightened. "The council says we are safe. The Accords. The Accords mean nothing to them. You know that?" He leaned closer. "They didn't stop the war. They paused it. And we've given them years to prepare." Arya's mind raced. Since humanity's disappearance from Titan, the galaxy had seen them only as diplomats, traitors, healers. They had destroyed their war fleets, melted their weapons. It had been the dream to erase the image of the human warrior forever. But if the Veer were coming, what then? Cato's voice dropped. "We have a choice. For them to strike and hope words will save us, or prepare in secret." Arya shook her head. "If we prepare, if we even look like we're arming again, the council will call us traitors." "Then we do it without the council," Cato said. Before Arya could answer, the lights in the room flickered. The hum of the spaceport's ventilation shifted into a strange rhythmic pulse, like a slow heartbeat. They froze. The projector's map changed without warning, the pulsing dots drawing closer to Earth's systems. And then a voice, cold, metallic, filled the room. "Peace is weakness. We are coming." Cato shut it off instantly, his face pale. "That wasn't a recording," he said. "That was live." Arya's chest tightened. Meant only one thing: the Veer knew where they were. She looked at Cato. "Get me a ship." As they moved toward the hangar, alarms began to sound through Illyria. Not the soft chimes for a civic emergency. These were deep, echoing blasts, the kind humanity hadn't heard in over a decade. The people of Illyria stopped in the streets, looking up as the sky darkened. Shadows spread across the sunlit towers. Not clouds, but ships. Dozens. Hundreds. The Veer had arrived early. Humanity by its own choice was unarmed. The great hall of the Galactic Council had never been this tense. The vast chamber, filled with species from across the galaxy, buzzed with uneasy whispers. Every race had sent their most powerful diplomats, generals, and rulers. At the center of the hall, the human delegation stood in silence. They did not speak. They did not defend themselves. They simply waited. Counselor Yara of the Veer Dominion slammed a clawed hand on the podium. "This cannot stand," she roared. "For centuries, humans have been warriors. They fought us. They bled with us. They stood in every war the galaxy waged. And now they run. They hide? What game is this?" Her words echoed through the chamber. Some council members nodded in agreement. Others shifted nervously in their seats. The humans were unpredictable. Yes, but abandoning war entirely. That was something no one could understand. High Chancellor Vorn of the Trill Collective leaned forward, his voice calm. "Perhaps they are not hiding. Perhaps they have found something else." A ripple of confusion passed through the hall. From the human side, an older man finally stepped forward. Ambassador Chiron Locke, tall and broad-shouldered, wore no armor, only a simple black coat. He looked directly at the assembled leaders. "We are not hiding. We are not surrendering. We are choosing." "Choosing what?" Yara spat. "Choosing to end the cycle," Locke said. "Every war we've fought, every battle we've won, it all ends the same way. More graves. more ruins, more enemies waiting to rise again. So we've made a decision, no more war. Gasps spread across the chamber. Impossible, Vorn said slowly. War is survival. Without it you will be destroyed. Locke's expression didn't change. Perhaps, but we will not destroy ourselves. To survive, the hall erupted in shouting. Some called the humans fools. Others accused them of hiding secret weapons. Few, very few watched in thoughtful silence. Then the lights in the chamber flickered. Every delegate turned toward the massive viewing screens on the walls. The images showed fleets human. Fleets moving through space, but they were not armed for war. Instead, they carried massive structures, luminous and strange, glowing with soft blue light. What are those? Demanded a council member. Seeds, Locke replied. The seeds of something. Greater than war. Confusion deepened. Explain, Yara demanded. We are building something the galaxy has never seen, Locke said. A network that will make war useless. The Vare counselor narrowed her eyes. And why tell us this? Locke stepped closer too. The center of the hall, his voice dropped to a low, steady tone. Because you all still think we're the same humans you fought for centuries. You think we will break under pressure or fight when pushed? But we've learned something. He paused, letting the silence stretch. The greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemy, it's in making them unnecessary. The council chamber fell silent. Even Yara said nothing. For the first time in galactic history, the most feared warriors in the galaxy were walking away from battle. And no one knew whether to fear them more or less. The choice that shook the stars, the council chamber of the Galactic Assembly had never been this crowded. Delegates from hundreds of worlds gathered in silence, their voices hushed, their eyes fixed on the humans entering the hall. No army guarded them, no weapons hung at their sides. Just a small group led by Captain Arya Holt, walking with the calm of those who feared nothing. Every species present had fought humans before, or at least heard the stories, their cunning, their stubbornness, their terrifying ability to win battles they had no right to win. Yet now, these warriors had laid down their arms, abandoned their fleets, and vanished from the war without explanation. That mystery had brought the galaxy here today. The Vare Dominion's representative, a towering figure wrapped in black armor, was the first to speak. His voice was cold, mocking. Humanity, why have you surrendered? Where is your pride? Where is your fire? Arya stepped forward. Her voice was steady, carrying across the chamber without effort. We did not surrender. We chose a different battle. Confusion rippled through the hall. The word battle meant only one thing to most species here: war, destruction, victory through force. But Arya's meaning was different. She explained what had happened after the ceasefire order. The humans had left not to hide, not to rebuild weapons, but to begin something no one in the galaxy expected: a unified effort to heal, build, and create, without war as the foundation of their power. We have fought for centuries, she said, and we learned something you have not. Every war, even a victory, is just the start of the next war. That is the trap. We will not walk into it again. Some laughed, others scoffed, but a few listened carefully. Among them was the Thaylen ambassador, whose people had been at war with the Vare for 300 years. His eyes narrowed, thoughtful. Arya continued. We will spend our strength not on fleets, but on knowledge. We will master worlds, not destroy them. We will trade in ideas, not in bodies. The Vare commander slammed a clawed hand onto the table. Then you are weak. Without your weapons, the galaxy will consume you. Arya met his glare. Then come. Try. The silence that followed was heavier than any weapon. The humans sudden. Lack of aggression made them unpredictable. Species with no fear of death and no hunger for conquest was more dangerous than an empire. Armed to the teeth because you couldn't threaten them with what they didn't want. Months passed. Humans withdrew entirely from the war, dismantled their military industry, and redirected resources to building orbital universities, medical stations, and advanced agricultural systems across dozens of worlds, even worlds. That had once been their enemies. The galaxy didn't understand it until they began to see the results. Starving colonies were fed, plague-ridden planets received cures. Civilizations on the brink of collapse were rebuilt with human technology and engineering, but perhaps the most shocking change was what happened to the Ver Dominion. When famine struck one of their core worlds, it wasn't their allies who saved them, it was the humans. Quietly, without demands, without treaties, they delivered food and medicine. The Ver's propaganda machine struggled to explain why their sworn enemy had saved millions of their people. Whispers began to spread. If humans, once the fiercest warriors in the galaxy, could abandon war and still thrive, maybe others could too. Small ceasefires began to form in long-forgotten conflicts. Trade routes reopened. Of course, not everyone approved. Arms dealers, warlords, and aggressive empires saw humanity's new path as a threat to their power. But every attempt to provoke humans into a fight failed. One Ver fleet even attacked a human aid convoy. The humans didn't return fire. Instead, they let the attackers board and found the ships filled with nothing but food, medicine, and books. The Ver soldiers left in silence. In the Galactic Assembly, the Thalian ambassador addressed the chamber. Humans are not weak. They are showing us a weapon stronger than fear, stronger than destruction, and it is one we have all been too blind to use. Years later, history would remember the day humanity turned away from war, not as the day they became irrelevant, but as the day they changed the galaxy forever. In the archives of the Assembly, the moment was recorded in a single line spoken by Captain Arya Holt. The deadliest thing a warrior can do is stop fighting. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, where young civilizations rose and empires fell, that idea spread like light through darkness, until the stars themselves seemed to burn a little brighter.